Hey everybody, how's it going? Autism, alcoholism, are they related? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about, because I have had a weekend, quite a weekend. It's Sunday afternoon, so yeah, I can talk about how it's gone down. It started on Friday, as most weekends do, most good weekends. Remember the Thursday nights, golf in Prestwick, few pints, quiz night, disco, then into a taxi, into the pavilion in Ayr for grab a granny till 3 AM, and then quite often back home to smoke reefer until the sun came up. Good times, remember those weekends, 92, 93, thereabouts. This one was somewhat different to that. It's difficult to know how much to go into here because I'm talking a bit about my son. But I think it might be helpful for me if I do that. So we'll see where it goes. He's 15, struggling at school, further along the autistic spectrum than I. And we're kind of getting to the end of our tether with school. We're a bit concerned that he's going to quit school at the end of 4th year, which will be May, June this year, because he'll be 16 and he'll be allowed legally to quit school. So we've had a few meetings with the school. It hasn't really helped. Now, I'm not disparaging the school here because they are trying, which my school never did with me, but we'll get to that maybe. So we called on a family friend, someone we've known for a long time, a retired special needs head teacher of 25 years, and this friend knows of what she speaks. So she came round on Friday for a meeting with me and my wife to talk through the situation and give us some ideas, and she did. But as she talked, she explained how the autistic mind works, which, you know, you would think we would know already. And we do to some extent, but there were still a lot of revelations. And what really struck home for me was that it sounded like she was describing me and things that I didn't know about myself. So I know some of my pals, when I talk about this, some of my old school pals are like, Cams, what are you on about? You're not autistic, you're not on the spectrum. So, you know, there was that kind of resistance for me to actually go there and think of myself in those terms. But as I get older and I watch my son and I think about my dad, you know, it becomes quite clear that autism is in my family, and that I, and probably my dad as well, have Asperger's. So as our friend was talking about how the autistic mind works, it was such a surprise to me to learn the reasons why I failed at school, which are that feeling like the world is not designed for people who think differently, feeling uncomfortable in my own skin, let's talk about me, feeling like a square peg in a round hole. You know, there's all sorts of ways of describing it. That life is pain in many respects, and alcohol took that pain away. It made me feel, I'm not going to say the N word, I'm going to say neurotypical. It made me feel able to communicate with people. It made me not want to hide anymore. It made me want to come out and become part of the world. And at 15 I was already doing that a lot. Carry-outs were the order of the day. Most weekends, even at 15, were spent at beach parties down Prestwick Beach, sitting in the Oval or sitting in Boyfield Gardens with a cargo and my pals. Or I was out on my BMX, which was another thing I did that put me in the moment. So thankfully my son hasn't discovered that particular joy yet, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of living in fear of that moment when he does, because I've heard this described in the rooms of AA many times about how that first drink can make you feel, and he hasn't experienced that moment yet. And I know that this is just my fear and projection, and I'm foolish to think this way, but at the same time I want to instruct my son, to teach him from my own experience, which is what all parents do, isn't it? So that he doesn't end up turning to pain relieving substances, you know, which for other people are substances for a good time, but for me that they were substances for feeling neurotypical. So the friend of ours, we had a really good discussion with her, and she came up with some strategies, ways that we could get him to engage in his schooling and want to engage. That's the big part of it, because he just doesn't want to. It's becoming a real source of dread going to school, and I can relate to that. And the interesting thing that was revealed to me was that because of the way that we think, the idea of open-ended tasks where we can't see the end result, like life in many ways, because life is so massive and so full of everything, and at the same time full of nothing. How do you deal with that? Where literally the choices are limitless. It's overwhelming, and so we withdraw. And this is what I do when I'm feeling frustrated, angry, scared. I withdraw. I withdraw more because I'm actually kind of always withdrawn on some level, and that's why I'm so poor at communicating with loved ones. So I would withdraw more, generally by sleeping now. When things get really bad, I will just want to go and sleep. Actually, I was feeling that way a bit this afternoon. Kind of fuzzy head, facing tasks I didn't want to do. I just wanted to go to sleep in the warmth. Or binge Netflix, that's another thing that I do. Or eat sugar for that little dopamine hit of pleasure. But not drugs or alcohol, I'm pleased to say. And this is what's happening with our son at school. The dread, the feeling of being overwhelmed, the feeling of not knowing what the future holds and how to navigate that. Shut down. And so there was one day last week where we got a call to say that he'd gone to sleep. I mean, not just head on the desk like I used to do during double maths, or double anything pretty much, but actually sparked right out lying on the sofas in the support base. And he wasn't overtired. He is getting enough sleep at home. This was just shut down. Don't want to deal with this anymore. See you later. I'm checking out. So we had this discussion with our friend, came up with some solutions, and decided we were going to formulate a plan using systems. Now this is a remarkable thing. I learned about systems thinking just over a year ago through studying with August Bradley, which I've shared about on this channel a few times. So I'll drop a video link here and you can check out where I was discussing August Bradley's system. Now what this happened, what this was about was finding ways of breaking down the scary, open-ended, unseeable, unknowable future into small achievable chunks, and building systems where you've got small chunks and bigger chunks and goals and values, and trying to align everything that you do to these values, to these goals, to these projects. So it all sounds very productivity, you know, to coin a phrase. But really it's all about learning how to deal with life on life's terms without feeling so overwhelmed that we want to shut down. And this is why, for the first time in my life, I feel like I've been achieving. So for the past year, as you'll know if you're subscribed to this channel, I've been putting out regular updates, a video a week at least, for over a year now. And how have I been doing that? Well, I've made it into projects using Notion as my software. And same goes for my newsletter, which I've kind of not been publishing, but that was a conscious decision since the new year kicked off, because it wasn't really the highest priority task for me. But that's details. As I sat down with our friend, and she was describing ways of making it feel predictable and comfortable, I could see straight away that she was describing systems thinking. So straight away I had a label for what this was, and it was really exciting because I was like, I know how to do this. So I told her that I had my own systems in place using Notion, which I've already showed our son. And yesterday our friend came round again, so Saturday, to sit down with her son. She knows him quite well, and she wanted to sit down and talk with him and explain the ideas that she'd put to us, and ask him questions about how he thought we could implement those suggestions and what his thoughts were, what his feelings were. And it was quite a productive meeting actually, it went well. Our son engaged, which was good. And we left that meeting feeling quite positive. So we wrote to the high school, we've asked for a meeting with the head teacher, because we want to put forward these ideas to the head and possibly find some other sources from outside of the school system that could help, whether it be with funding or counselling or providing a safe space, somewhere that our son can go that isn't home or school. I don't know. We want to know what options are open to us. So that's what we're going to be doing. And today I sat down with Notion, I fired it up, opened up a blank template, started thinking about how I'm going to put this into practice, which we're going to do by breaking down his terms of school and subjects, and somehow coming up with milestones, rewards and progress bars. I mean, that's what works for me, is seeing a progress bar in my Notion system, or check boxes, or a gallery view of my thumbnails for my videos, which I like to look at during my monthly review, particularly when I get to see how many videos I've published in a month, and that can give me a little boost. You know, when week 4 of the month feels like I haven't really done very much, and then I do my review and I see, for example, that in November I published 22 videos, and I was like, whoa, I didn't actually realise that. So little kind of systems like that help me. I'm hopeful that they will help him, but we'll see. I faced the Notion template today and didn't really know how to start. The first hurdle was how to share a Notion page amongst me, my wife and my son. But I've got that figured out. So I'm going to go back down, get off this hill, and I'm going to invite our son through to sit with me and help me build the system with his input. His immediate response when I suggested this earlier was, I don't like Notion. This is what we face. He doesn't like things, he decides he doesn't like things, and generally can't explain why. There's not always a reason, or is there? I don't know. Like with food, films, books. At the weekend on Friday night, after we'd had this meeting with our friend, we asked him if he would like to come through and watch Back to the Future with us, because he loves Ready Player One, and we just watched that for the 10th time maybe. And my wife was explaining to him once again where the DeLorean car comes from that Wade Watts drives. And we said, let's put on Back to the Future, you'll love it. And he was like, nah, not interested. So we talked him through and said, just come through and sit down for 10 minutes. And then if you still don't like the film, you can go back to your room. So he agreed to that, and he stayed and he watched the whole film and he enjoyed it. Now we can say to him next time he says no to something, remember that time you said no to that film and then you liked it? And he'll say, yep, but it's still no. It's a bit like me knowing that coming up the hill always makes me feel better, and yet this afternoon when I was thinking about it, I was like, ugh. The knowing of the thing being an enjoyable thing still doesn't always give us the boost we need to go and do the thing. Life, eh? But I firmly believe this is why I started, or not why I started with the alcohol, but why I continued with the alcohol as a 14-year-old through till the age of 33, when I finally put it down for the last time. And even still, I look for ways of self-soothing through harmful behaviour. That's not who I want to be. So I will continue looking for ways of improving my own mental health through meditation, through getting up a hill like this for 20 days in a row, through hiking in the summer, through sleeping properly, reading, getting off the computer, meditation, did I already say that? Through being kind to myself, through including my wife in my thoughts, because I'm terrible for not doing that. Remember that withdrawal thing I spoke about? Always baseline, maybe level 4 withdrawal. I want that to stop. I want to feel that I can communicate with my loved ones, particularly my wife, because she's amazing, and I always feel better when I've done that. We always feel closer and more like friends, and I still don't do it anywhere nearly as often as I would like, so that's bad on me, Ken. So that's me. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.